speaking of, I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got here to thinking this was a good idea. XPG imagines a gaming mouse that can store 1 terabyte of games. Hopefully this doesn't stay a CES concept. I really hope it does. I really hope it does. That would be a very power-hungry mouse. And a very heavy mouse as well. So there aren't many details for it, but the current prototype can integrate a 1 terabyte solid-state memory running at 985 megabytes a second. Like, it's fast, but having that, given that it's a wired mouse, obviously, yeah, you'd have to have it be wired. That makes sense. Having that in the device is going to be quite heavy. Like, not as heavy as batteries, probably. Yeah, definitely not as heavy as batteries, but quite heavy. Also, I wonder what the sort of heat output from that's going to be. Because right now, we do have chips on board on most mice. They can store, here's, a lot of the time it's only like a couple hundred kilobytes. We can store like the config of the mouse. That doesn't really take much to keep cool. A terabyte of solid state memory, though, is a little bit different. And, might be a problem. Let's see. There's certainly room for a few titles, as long as one of them isn't Call of Duty. How big is the biggest Call of Duty? Oh, the latest, sorry. Whoo! Wait, COD game collection is 500 gig. Okay. I know that, wasn't there one game that was just 500 gig? I feel like there was. XPG says that visitors to its CES booth will get a peek at the vault. So it's always possible that we'll hear more details soon. You probably will. Given this is being built as a concept and prototype, it's possible this is most will ever hear about this mouse. That's not exactly common things announced CES. That's not exactly uncommon things announced CES. The other problem with this mouse is I kind of wonder how expensive it would be. So obviously we're not fitting a two, like, assuming this is a regular sized mouse, you're not fitting a 2.5-inch SSD in this. That's not happening. So it would have to be something, you'd either have to have a custom PCB design to somehow fit it in this, or do something more akin to the way that like a M.2 drive is structured. And when you're getting the things like that, prices just go woo. This mouse, if it ever existed, and it's not even a very impressive mouse. If it ever existed, it would easily be in like the $400 or $500 range, without a doubt. But like, as a gaming mouse, it actually looks really shit. This is my G305 that has as many buttons. Sure, it doesn't have an LED. Actually, it doesn't have an LED. It has one right here. But like, sure, it doesn't have as many lights, but like, it's not gonna be super expensive. I feel like this is one of those things which is only gonna stay in the prototype and concept stage and never actually make it to the public. And I kind of hope that it stays there, because just buy a fucking external hard drive. We don't need to put everything into everything. Like, you don't need a fucking terabyte of storage in your stupid mouse. Just buy a terabyte SSD. Let's actually see how much a terabyte external SSD actually is. 1 TB external SSD. $450. That's on the expensive side. $88. Or is this just an enclosure? No, this is not just an enclosure. This is... Sure, it probably isn't the fastest one out there. But this is $88. This is $150. Like, you can clearly get these for fairly cheap. It doesn't need to be in your bloody mouse. You don't have so little... If you have so little space that you need to put your storage in your mouse, just stop playing video games. You don't have enough space for a mouse mat at that point. Like, I'm sure there is somewhere you could put an external SSD. I know the reason for, like, what this is. Like, the reason why this thing exists is because, hey, you could go and take your mouse to, like, your friend's house and have all your games there and all that fun stuff. But, like, you can also just take an SSD. Let's see some of the comments, actually. A mouse and SSD storage is not high up in the list of things I'd like to combine. Yep, this year's CES is going to be real fire. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up cancelling it. I wouldn't be surprised either, considering what we heard earlier. Seems pretty dumb. If it was this easy to carry PC games and run them on any PC as if they were a game cartridge... Oh, wait. If it was easy to carry games and run them on any PC as if they're a game cartridge, okay, but that isn't the case. No, it actually is the case, though. Like, what do you mean that isn't the case? If you just plug the drive into a new system and you point Steam at it, then it's going to work exactly as you'd expect. If the storage medium was removable from the mouse, then sure. Why not just package an external SSD with the... Imagine this. Imagine bundling a good mouse with an SSD. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard for a peripheral. Yeah, it's true. It is not the worst. I love this. The comments getting worse. And that's about the best thing I can say about this ridiculous idea for a peripheral. Shouldn't this be on the keyboard instead? You could probably fit, like, a lot of keyboards, you could reasonably make them a little bit thicker and easily fit it in somewhere. No, it should be on the headphones instead. I agree. Headphone instead. This seems like it'd be a decent idea if the whole computers themselves were micronized down to the size of a mouse or smaller, but I doubt that the technology required to pull that off successfully is quite there yet. You mean like a Raspberry Pi? Like a Raspberry Pi. Definitely a gimmick only. Absolutely, no doubt. It's really hard for me to imagine, but there's a large market for this kind of product. No, there is no market for it because the product doesn't exist. Essentially, it requires you to have multiple computers in different locations, but for some reason, no capacity to just install the same games on all those computers. I'd never heard of someone having that kind of situation, let alone it being common enough to build a dedicated Frankenstein product to solve it. XPG has more market data than I do. No, they have engineers who are bored. I don't think they have market data indicating that people want this. I think they are just fucking bored and are trying to justify, like, their job still existing. So, like, yes, we need something to show off at CES. We're gonna make this really fucking weird mouse that has a terabyte of storage in it because, lol, why not? That sounds kind of funny. And you know what? I think they succeeded. It does sound kind of funny, and I hope that coming out of CES, we see some, like, ridiculous things of this caliber. Sure, there's going to be the boring stuff like, oh, here's a new CPU, here's a new, probably not graphics cards, here's a new, maybe graphics cards from, like, you know, EVGA, being like, here's the new 3090 Windforce Extreme Magical Gamer Edition or something.